Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Command Center. We'd like to put our favorite commander, maybe even yours, front and center. And you know we can't do that unless we twist that sonic screwdriver to reveal those three legendary letters, EDH. What does it stand for today, Dr. Hado?
Was that a threat or was that like an innuendo of some sort?
No, sonic screwdriver is this new thing they have at Home Depot. It's for like $5.99.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to pay extra for a sonic screwdriver. What do you got?
You'd be surprised. Apparently, if you have a medical degree, you always get one. But anyway, EDH, it stands for even.
That's what it stands for. So let's get into that.
Evil does hide.
Hold on,
There we go.
One more time.
We're not cutting that. We're keeping that what it was.
Sure.
Yeah, we're good. Evil does hide. So we're exploring this whole universe behind with a new segment called Doctor Who. And if you are familiar with Doctor Who, this is the part 2 episode, of course. If you aren't familiar with Doctor Who, it's about a space bomb that roams around the universe looking for people to put on his bus. Yeah, he has candy and everything. So that is pretty much the extent of Doctor Who.
Dang, you're not even wrong.
Just made more science. We've got deeper into the mechanics in the last video, but there's plane chase. That's the big thing. There's doctors with their companions, which is basically a partner. Check out part 1 if you want more in-depth and kind of to set up the different ways that this set's being distributed. But right now, we're focused on the last 2 decks that we want to talk about. So the next one we're going to talk about, said this was it's Grixis, so you already know Said was immediately into this, and this is the villains deck. And it looks like it's doing so. I know nothing about Doctor Who outside of obviously being an expert. So villains immediately seem the coolest because there's like a giant demon thing. There's someone with lightning. I don't know what's happening, but it all looks really cool.
Oh yeah. Let them know who's the. Do we have the face commander for this already pull up?
Yes, it's the Dalek guy.
Oh, the Dalek. Okay, so yeah, this is Davros Dalek creator. Of course, Grixis, one in Grixis. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely too thrilled about this guy in particular, but what this deck wants you to do is to make a bunch of Daleks. There's different ways that you can do that, as far as like destroying other people's creatures and you creating Daleks. You're populating in a way, creating Daleks. You're using sagas to create Daleks, but essentially, at the end of the day, at the end of the turn, it wants your opponents to lose at least 3 life, and when that happens, you're able to make what's called a villainous choice. So this kind of threw me for a loop. It's not a new mechanic. It's just kind of tacked on to some of these villains in here. But essentially, Ken's going to hate this. Every time when you either something happens and you meet this requirement, at the end of the turn, there's a villainous choice. Your opponents get to choose this. Either you draw a card or that player discards a card. And there's a different villainous choice for different villains. So particularly on Davros, this is the choice that he offers up to your opponents.
I'm going to put this out here for a flavor fail that they forgot to do is villainous wealth for this deck, but find a way to splash green.
I was about to say it's not.
Find a way to splash green to make it happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, some things can't make the cut because of the colors, but got to do what you got to do. But overall, this is a very artifact creature heavy deck. A lot of the creatures that are featured are going to be your Daleks, your Cybermen, Weeping Angels.
Oh,
they're here. They're here.
I love the Angels.
The Angels are here.
They were one of the most actually creepiest parts about Doctor Who.
Yeah, that episode kind of terrified me, especially when it came back and it's like, oh, really? Come on. We thought Power Rangers defeated this already. They're back again.
Oh yeah, when you find out that now that they're extra dimensional beings that can actually go through stuff too, it is incredible.
I do love this concept of villainous choice because you mentioned the version on that card, but in general, it could be anything. Another example that they gave was you can sacrifice a creature they control or you get something.
Yeah.
Making people make those decisions is already fun in a deck, but it's so on theme with some of these villains.
Yeah. I'm going to just spit a couple of these card facts real quick.
Oh,
so
sure.
One villainous wealth card that I like is Genesis of the Daleks. I'm going to skip the first 3 chapters because they each have you create a Dalek for each chapter, for each lore counter that is on this saga. But when you get to the last one, target opponent faces a villainous choice. Destroy all Dalek creatures and each of your opponent lose life equal to the total power of Daleks that die this turn.
Ooh.
Or destroy all non-Dalek creatures.
Oh my gosh.
That is a Sophie's choice decision right there.
Oh my gosh.
This is real.
How do you want it? You gonna catch this?
You gonna catch it?
But how do you want it?
Oh, and it's the total power. It's not even number of Daleks.
No, it's power.
Total power of Daleks.
And guess what? I can splash something in to make it bigger. So yeah, you choose how you want this sandwich.
Yeah.
Because you eating this sandwich.
Yeah. So there's a lot more that I want to go through, but I feel like a lot of these villainous choices are pretty good.
Oh, you better
Yep, they
stop
got
right
the-
there.
They got the silent. I'm gonna go ahead and get this because Ken loves the silent.
Oh,
At
my
the
God.
beginning of your end step, goad up to one target creature you do not control. Put a 1/1 counter on Renegade Silent, and then he phases out.
That is so on brand.
Yeah.
Okay, if people aren't familiar with the silence, they are one of the most destructive villains out here because when you stop looking at them, your brain literally forgets that they exist. So the whole phase out mechanic is so perfect. They literally lurk in the background, and you can always have this feeling that they're around, but you can never see them because your mind can never remember them.
Yeah. Very similar to a mutant from X-Men, Forget Me Not.
Yes.
But a lot scarier. So I just want to shout this one out real quick. So I don't know if this new card art is in all of the decks. I haven't been through all of them, but Solemn Simulacrum is here with some new card art, and it's a very sorrowful, sad looking robot
Oh,
man.
that is so
I know
messed
you
up.
recognize it
Oh, that is so messed up.
because you know who was in there, right?
I do know who was in there, and
But-
it is so jacked
Oh
up.
man, that's crazy. Good art, good callback, loving that.
Like, if you are a Who fan, this is going to tug at you, especially the villain deck. But also, if you've never been into this series, I implore you to please jump into this. One of the doctors I always suggest to people is the David Tennant Doctor, the 10th Doctor.
Yeah.
But they're all great.
All right, last thing I'm gonna say about this deck. Since it has this whole villain, like I said, it wants you to focus on Dialects a lot. Wants to focus on maybe Cybermen if you want to go that direction. There's a ton of legends in here. You can figure out what you want to do with this. You don't necessarily have to keep it Grixis. You can go blue black, red black, however you want to do it. But I say keep it Grixis for the extra colorful flavor. And this is actually very similar to a deck I've built before. It was Yennet. Let me make sure I get her name right. Yennet Cryptic Sovereign. This was an Esper. And I built this deck kind of like a riddle deck. Like my opponents are gonna be making choices as I play these cards. So this card is like Callous Oppressor that should be in this deck. But real quick about Callous Oppressor. When it enters the battlefield, an opponent chooses a creature type. Whatever creature type that they choose, that is a creature type that you cannot use to gain control of with Callous Oppressor. It can tap and gain control of any creature on the board except for the creature type chosen by that opponent. So, see, you see where I'm going right here. Making choices. Cataclysmic Gearhawk. Somewhat people are making choices that way. Well, this wouldn't
All
go
right, to
this
scoop or
wouldn't
not
go-
to scoop. That's the choice they're making.
This wouldn't go into
The Grixis deck.
Grixis deck. But I'm trying to give you an example of what
same
I'm doing
theme.
here.
I will say one of the standout, because I did look at this deck because I'm a huge fan of the villains of the Doctor Who series,
Yeah.
and they actually printed one of my other favorite villains, the Devil.
Yeah. So that card is in here. He's in the show. He's kind of referenced as the devil, but was also referenced as the beast, the deathless prince, because like a lot of devil shenanigans going on here. Not outright being called the devil, but hey, on a surface, it is what it is. But basically, what this commander or this legend wants you to do is gain control of stuff, hit people with stuff, so that way you can untap it. And there are some counters on him here that like if you let me get all these counters off, I'm coming for you. So you have a clock. It's very, very symbolic. So 6 counters, 6 stun counters, 6/6. Yeah, you just pointed it out to you.
There we. Oh my gosh! Bam! My mind just. There we go.
Okay,
which is also a flavor win because in the show itself, when the David Tennant approaches the abyss and he meets the devil, he's literally locked in trying to escape. So this counter timer is actually on.
Yeah,
brand.
there was a timer countdown in that.
Yeah, it was a
episode.
countdown for him to be actually released. So this is actually a flavor win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
last card.
These card designers are. It's insane. The
Yeah,
level of flavor.
they went nuts with the villain deck. Last card I want to talk about because I'm pulling this from the Yennet deck that I think will be a good addition to here is Head Games. This is a card that's already been printed. Head Games is a sorcery for 3 and 2 black. Essentially, a target opponent puts the cards from their hand into their library. You search that target player's library and fill their hand back up with that number of cards. So essentially, you take their hand, put it back in the library, give them new cards of your choosing.
I wish you would do that in my Wind Grace deck. Go ahead and give me 7 lands. I'm gonna hurt you.
I do
I'm gonna
love.
give you your 7 planeswalkers.
Yeah, your Super Friends deck. I do love the villains deck in the sense of it feels like so far with the other decks there's Suspend and there's Historic and there's Cast from Exile. I love that the theme in the villains deck is more so like a flavor theme.
Yeah.
Like the other decks are awesome and they have these like very mechanical themes that you know what to add. but it feels like you can make this villain deck your own in the sense of playing that like choice villain.
Mhm.
And you have so many choices that mechanically don't even have to match. Like I love
Yeah.
that. You can go so flavorful with that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, just close it off. So like I said, the deck wants you to kind of push towards Dialects, just off the way it comes in a box. If you want to go that route, there's plenty of ways to manipulate the creature types of all the creatures you have. Arcane Adaptation, Conspiracy, to just change everything into Dialects. If you want to do Cyberman, that's on you. They have their own kind of thing. I wasn't really feeling the Cyberman theme. There's a lot of taking people's creatures, bringing them back to your side as face down 2/2 face down 2/2 nobodies. But I mean, I think they come in as Cyberman. So that's how they're kind of mass populating Cyberman.
Which is very on brand, especially from the series. Because if you know anything about it, Cyberman, they're pretty much like the Borg from Star Trek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna assimilate you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much all I want to say. To me, I think on its face, to me, this is my favorite deck. I heard what some of the other mechanics of what the other decks are doing, some of the things we've seen in the past, but to me, this is speaking to me because this is somewhat brand new.
We're having a back alley brawl to the death to see who gets the Grixis deck. So the next deck that we're going to take a look at.
You'll be there by yourself.
He'll be playing the deck at a card shop. I'll be waiting for the back alley brawl. So the last deck we're going to take a look at is Paradox Power. If you've seen our preview cards from a little bit ago, those are all in this deck. So this is the green, blue, red deck, teamer deck, and the whole theme is casting not from your hand. You got flashback, rebound, suspend, retrace, all those types of things. There's a little bit counters matter themes mixed in as well, but the big thing is Paradox is the main mechanic, and essentially that just means whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand. Already, I do enjoy that because there's so many things that specify casting from exile. Not that it's gotten played out, but I know there's like the meme basically of, oh, that goes good in Prosper because
Yeah.
everything goes good in Prosper. I do like the fact that it's focusing on some other parts of it. Like that's something I am excited to see.
From a story wise, I like the fact of who it focuses on. This is focusing on the latest incarnations of the Doctor, more of the Peter Capaldi and the Jodie Whittaker Doctors. So a lot of that flavor goes into their Doctor mechanics and how they work. So I do love how they go through the entire timeline. You have your blast from the past with the previous ones. You have the core Doctors that everybody's mostly familiar with, and then you have the newer set that they focus on, and then you have, of course, the villains to round everything out. So this was a pretty thoughtful set in which they put everything in. Even the mechanics line up with everyone too.
Yeah. So the face commander for the Paradox Power deck is going to be the 13th Doctor. So you have a blue and a green for Time Lord Doctor, which they are, and has Paradox, like I just mentioned. So whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1 counter on target creature, not just you control, just any creature. And it's got Team TARDIS. The beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a counter on it. And that's the general theme of this: is you want these benefits of casting things from other places and then kind of accruing that value, mixing with +1 counters. The one of them, probably my favorite card in the deck, and we've talked about it in the preview card, so I won't get too far into it, but the Flaming Tyrannosaurus, or Tyrannosaurus on Fire,
the dragon.
Also
Dragon. Flaming Tyrannosaurus, yeah.
It's Charizard with extra steps.
That might be my favorite card in the whole set. I just love the ability to, you get it, you can work, you don't even have to worry about the first half if all you want is a giant Tyrannosaurus that's going to burn everyone to the ground. So that's definitely one of my favorite cards, and I think that's one that I'm going to steal for other decks.
I can already see Derek casting this thing out.
Oh yes,
and then just multiplying that power.
Hold on.
I'm finding, yeah.
I need you guys to smell what I'm stepping in. All right. So you build a mono red deck around this guy, and then you have a Valakut in there too. So whenever you play a land, you bolt. Whenever you cast any 50 things to exile, you bolt, and then you can just run over them because he has menace.
Yeah, well, yeah, just the menace thrown on because that was completely necessary and needed it to be a good card.
Why doesn't he have trample?
But not all dinosaurs trample. So my other favorite card I want to talk about, and again, I've realized I mentioned this in a previous deck too. I think I just really like creature types. We have Carvanista, Loyal Lupari, which is just a fun name to say. It's 4 and a green for an alien dog soldier. Like, who doesn't want a puppy that's an alien? And it's an adventure card. So the sorcery side is an adventure. Humans you control gain indestructible until your next turn for 2 mana.
Alien is so generic.
But it's a puppy.
Just run with it.
So you got some humans, whatever. Then the actual puppy side has vigilance, trample, and haste for a 5/5. Whenever Carvanista attacks, put a +1 counter on each human you control. How freaking adorable is it that this puppy is just all there for the humans? This puppy is hanging out with the humans. I find human decks to be a little bit boring in general. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like they all do the same thing where you just like spread the board. Ooh, now we buff them. The fact that a dog is at the head of it, that catches my interest. I also love, again, adventure is another way to kind of get into this. Oh, we're casting things from places other than our library, which is always a good time. Now, there's one more that I wanted to talk about.
Also, foretell.
Foretell.
Yeah, foretell everybody.
Even the mayor.
Exactly.
Richard for the sky and a foretell layer.
So another one that I really enjoy is Memory Worm. So Memory Worm is 1 and a red for an alien worm. I'm sensing a theme with. I feel like if aliens on every card, maybe it was redundant. But
where are the predator cards? I want to go alien versus predator. I'm sorry.
We already got the Grevin, Captain Predator. We already got the Captain Predator. We don't need any more. So Memory Worm is 1 and a red for a 1/1. It's got Paradox, which is the main mechanic. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Memory Worm deals 2 damage to target player. That player discards a card, then draws a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Memory Worm. What I love about this is with some of these decks, when I found when I'm building certain engines and things like that, you can kind of get so caught up in the engines, you forget how to progress the game. So the fact that every time you're doing this, you're just shocking someone, shocking someone, and also making this worm bigger, which seems like it'll matter. But the thing I really love about this is that false, I'm actually helping you out. Because honestly, if you tell me for 2 damage you can loot, because I'm pretty sure you're discarding and drawing, so you're looting.
Yeah.
My first, or maybe rummaging. I don't know the difference. It's one of the two. My first thought is, I'll take 2 damage to discard and draw. Like, I want to do that all the time.
I'm going to help the hell out of you. I'm going to help your life all the way to 0.
And that's what I love about this is you're like helping people. And if you get into one of those turns where we already talked about the card that gives everything flashback, the 4 red enchantment, I think it was
Clara Oswald.
Yes. That we'll put that one on the screen. You have that and everything has flashback. All of a sudden, if you hit a turn where you're casting 6, 7, 8 spells, you can throw like 16 damages. And that's honestly towards the end of the game, especially the type of games we play that go to turn 9, 10 plus.
Yeah.
This little worm by itself is going to do work, buff itself in the process. Now, obviously, you run the risk of helping your opponent sort through their cards, but I find that more fun. I think it's a more like...
Just slide in the Tor brand so you can do 2 extra damage.
Yeah. You're living dangerously. So I really enjoy that kind of like giving and take.
Emancipation.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. I love having the kind of the idea of helping opponents, quote unquote, and it makes the game more interesting. I'd rather, if I'm popping off, I think someone having the ability to answer it is more fun than just like the game ends. It's adding more things. There's one last card I do want to talk about here, and it's one of the companions for the deck, and I think. Yeah, based on the face card, this can be the companion to hit all your colors, and it's Ryan Sinclair.
Oh, snap. That's Ryan Sinclair. I have no idea who that is.
I was about to say, you just said his name. I was like, yeah, I just said that. He's Ryan Sinclair. When you said that, it just made me think of Brian Fellows for some reason. That's...
I don't know who that is.
Never mind.
Ryan Sinclair is another companion of the 13th Doctor. It's one of the ones that was tagging along with Jodie Whittaker.
Yes.
No, sorry. Jodie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I said. So Ryan Sinclair is 2 and a red for a 2/2. Whenever Ryan attacks, it's still funny to read a Magic card to say whenever Ryan attacks. Whenever Ryan attacks, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost if it's a spell with mana value less than or equal to Ryan's power. Put the exile cards cast this way or not cast this way on the bottom of your library in any order, and it's a companion.
Nice.
So this is already, it's a 3 mana card. If you're playing a very low to the ground deck, this is just free value. Every time you attack, you can get your 1 and 2 drops basically, or essentially, less than or equal to. So you get 2 drops automatically. But if you're with all these +1 counter synergies, this is the type of deck where with your other commander, you can just put +1 counters on, and every time you swing, just get a bunch of value. I love combat. I love attacking triggers. Like Atali I think is like one of the most perfect cards ever. This is not going to like break anything, but I love the concept of like, if you plan it right, you're swinging with a big creature, casting stuff for free and just getting that value engine going. And of the potential Doctor's companions, I think this is a super fun way to make it into a stompy version to the deck.
Ryan, I choose you.
Like basically.
I would also slot this into Hidesiku, the one who slaps twice.
Right.
So basically you can get double the triggers.
The one who slaps fire.
Exactly. I wish you would.
All right. We ready to close this off, or is there?
Yeah, I think that's good. That's gonna wrap up our initial thoughts. We are hopefully gonna get to play some. We might get some streams or something going with these decks. Get a more hands-on time, and maybe do some future videos. This set seems really fun, so we kind of don't want to. We're not gonna announce in advance if we're limited to what we've done so far. But overall thoughts, kind of on this as we generally do. We didn't really get into sleepers or anything like that because it's pre-cons. It's not like you're opening packs and stuff necessarily. Yeah. But overall
I will say, pay attention to some of those comments on uncommons.
Yes.
I saw some hitters in there.
Yeah.
Another thing I will say, this is just another out of the park universes behind that they've done. I thought they did great with Lord of the Rings, but this one is actually spectacular. And and from a Whovian and person who loves the show, even somebody who's not familiar with the content, the synergies with these decks actually work well. I'm pretty sure you have to slot very few cards, if any, into these decks because they can fly on their own.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I do also love is how many legendary creatures come in these decks. You notice this with the Warhammer ones, and I think it's I don't actually have any information on this, but it feels like it's done because these Universes Beyond might never be made again. Like it's a deal, it's a one-time thing. You don't know if there'll ever be more Doctor Who cards, so they are getting every legend possible in these. It was the same way with Warhammer. I know it's the same thing with Lord of the Rings. There were like 7,000 legendaries.
Yeah.
So when you get one of these decks, you have so many alternate commanders, so many potential decks. I mean, I think you have like 19 decks just from the Warhammer Precons by itself. Crazy. So it really is a cool starting point if you're a Doctor Who fan, or honestly, if you just like that kind of genre of show, and it's a good entry point for you. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm excited to see how strong these are out of the box. They're probably going to whip all of my decks because that always happens with precons. So,
and one of the beautiful things, especially with these decks, is that they're so interchangeable. And again, it's an on-brand flavor win for Doctor Who because when the Doctor dies, he manifests into another different incarnation. So there's so many levels of win inside these decks.
Yeah, I think one of my closing thoughts as well is going to be of the Universes Beyond variants we've seen at this point, because they have secret layers, they've had full sets like Lord of the Rings, they have commander decks, all those. Honestly, I think the commander decks are my favorite version of it because for me, if I want to get into a universe and experience something, the commander deck is already telling a story.
Right.
And it's really cool to be able to jump into this other universe and it's just ready to go for you. You know, if this was a draftable set, I don't know if I would be interested because I don't know these characters. I want it to be flavorful, but I don't know how to put this together. I don't know what these cards, but the way it's set up is very beginner friendly to introduce you to stuff like that. So I think of the variations, I don't know how y'all feel, but I think this is the best entry point, especially when you're trying to learn new flavor and new lore.
Yes, yeah, 1,000%. And I will say this one is going to be amazing. Please go purchase this set whenever you get a chance. But of course, you have to wait till the next Universes Beyond set, which is going to be the Letterkenny set. That's right. There are 5,000 people in Letterkenny, people, and they know how to get it done. My favorite card is going to be the Canada Gooses card and allegedly card. But yeah, we're getting there sometime, people. We're getting there, and it's going to be great.
I don't know what he said, but if you want to get some cards from this set, hit up the affiliate link below. As you heard before, show some love to us with Into the AM. We got our link down to get a discount code as well. Help support the channel so we can hear more rants and whatever that, I don't know what secret layer was, but maybe that'll happen.
Look, I just got one word to close all this out. Exterminate.
Alonzi.